Everyone talks about motivation. Everyone says, find your why, stay inspired, believe in yourself. But let me ask you something uncomfortable. How many times have you felt motivated and still did nothing? That's the real question nobody wants to answer. There was a time when I was incredibly motivated to speak English. I watched videos, I read books, I told myself this time is different. 3 weeks later, I hadn't spoken a single sentence out loud. So, what went wrong? We live in a world that sells motivation. Every morning, there's a new quote. Every week, there's a new YouTube video telling you to stay inspired. And I understand why people love motivation. It feels good, it feels like progress. But feeling like progress is not the same as making progress. I've asked myself this question so many times. Why do I watch English videos for hours, feel completely ready, and then open my mouth and freeze? The answer took me a long time to find, and it has nothing to do with my English level. It has everything to do with the difference between motivation and discipline. Let's be honest about what motivation is. Motivation is an emotion, it comes and goes like the weather. Some mornings you wake up feeling unstoppable, other mornings you feel nothing. And here is the problem with building your English learning on motivation. Emotions are unreliable. They are not a foundation. They are a spark. A spark is beautiful, but a spark alone doesn't build a fire. I remember when I first decided to speak English with confidence. The first week, I was on fire. I practiced every day. I repeated sentences out loud. I was committed. The second week, life happened. I was tired. I was busy, and that feeling, that fire, was gone. And when the motivation disappears, what is left? That is the question I want you to sit with for a moment. Because the answer to that question is what separates the people who become fluent from the people who stay stuck. Discipline is not motivation's stronger brother. It is something completely different. Motivation asks, do I feel like doing this? Discipline asks, does this need to be done? When I practice my English today, some days I'm not excited, some days I'm tired, some days I would rather do anything else. But I practice anyway, not because I feel ready, not because I feel inspired, but because I decided. That decision, made once, honored every day, is discipline. Here is what happened this morning. When I woke up, I felt lazy and I didn't want to get up. And I started asking myself, do I have to record this video today? Why not tomorrow? I was falling into that trap of procrastinating. But this has happened to me so many times, and each time I didn't feel good after. Instead, I felt bad, and I even gave up on some projects. And since I do not want this project of mine to meet the same fate, I got up, prepared, and now I'm recording. And if you are wondering why I'm talking about making videos in place of speaking English, remember that I am speaking English right now. I am practicing whilst recording. This is my way to practice. And here is what discipline does that motivation never can. It removes the question. When you rely on motivation, every single day you ask yourself, should I practice English today? And that question is dangerous because when you are tired, the answer is always no. But when discipline is your foundation, there is no question at all. You practice the same way you eat, the same way you sleep, not because it feels good, because it is part of who you are now. Now, I want to be honest with you because this is a channel about truth, not comfort. Discipline alone is not enough either. Here is the harsh reality. You can be disciplined and still fail if you are disciplined in the wrong things. Watching English videos every day without speaking, that is discipline and useless. Reading grammar books for 1 hour every morning, that is disciplined and incomplete. Discipline must be pointed at the right target. For English learners, the target is always the same: output. speaking, writing, producing the language, not just consuming it. Motivation makes you open the textbook. Discipline makes you close it and speak anyway. So, practically speaking, how do you build this? The first thing I will tell you is simple: start smaller than you think. Most people fail not because they lack discipline, but because they start too big. They say, I will practice 2 hours every day, and after 3 days, they quit. Start with 10 minutes every day. Same time, non negotiable. 10 minutes of speaking out loud, 10 minutes of thinking in English, 10 minutes of recording yourself. Just 10 minutes, but every single day. You know, to come back to my story about this morning, I need to walk 30 minutes from my home to get here. And in the beginning, I wanted to make videos every day while practicing my English. I launched myself in a 30-day challenge and I started big. But several days later, reality started to kick in and it took me 60 days to complete it. Then I stopped for 5 months before starting over. So now I decided to record only one long form video per week. The rest of the days I practice at home. The second thing is track it, not to celebrate, but to create accountability. When you see a chain of days where you practice, you will not want to break it. So find a way to get yourself accountable. And the third thing, the most important one, is this: decide what kind of person you are, not what kind of person you want to be, what kind of person you are right now. Are you someone who practices English every day? Or are you someone who practices when they feel like it? That identity, that self image is more powerful than any motivational video you will ever watch, including this one. So let me bring this full circle. Motivation is beautiful. Use it when it comes. Let it push you forward, but never build your English journey on it because motivation will leave you. It always does. Discipline stays. And here is what I know from my own experience. The days I feel least like practicing, those are the most important days because those are the days that show me who I really am, not the days when everything is easy. The days when nothing is. That is where fluency is built, in the quiet moments, in the uncomfortable ones, in the moments when you practice anyway. So I want to ask you something, and I genuinely want your answer in the comments below. Which one do you think of discipline and motivation has had more impact on your English journey? Think about it because the answer might surprise you. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.